Wow, that new Hitman movie was bang average. It's interesting that this is probably the most technically proficient and well constructed of all major video game movie adaptations outside of Japan and maybe Mortal Kombat. I love that film, don't judge me. And yet somehow as a result it's the absolute worst. Here's the thing, it's fine. It's functional, and that in my eyes is the worst thing a film can be, because think about it, if you drew this, Double Dragon and Super Mario Bros. Movie out of a hat, which one are you going to forget about and which ones will you never forget? The answer should be obvious. In theory, Hitman should translate quite well to a movie. It's grounded pretty solidly in reality, the plot's there and not too complicated to shift into a different medium. There's nothing really demanding in terms of sets or lore that needs to be established, so it should adapt better than something like the vast universes of Assassin's Creed and Mass Effect, or something really surreal like Tetris. Yeah, that movie's supposedly happening. But in actuality, if we look at the source material, it's not a great choice at all. I mean, we already know it's a video game, which to be fair should be your first clue, because not only has this already had a bad adaptation, these things historically just don't work. Quite frankly, I'm not sure they ever will, since inherently by shifting from the video game medium to a film, you are losing something, interactivity, unlike when shifting from a book to a film in which you are gaining something, visuals. But even if we ignore these issues, Hitman alone just doesn't work. Why? Simple. The main character. Agent 47 is a cold, calculated killer. A complete power trip of an avatar, because he's nigh on sodding perfect. As a video game character, he's great, because he's someone you want to be. As a film character, he sucks because he's boring as shit to watch. Especially if you make him one of the protagonists, which this film does. He's dull to follow for the same reason people hate Superman. You can't beat him, so there's no stakes. Hell, at least even Superman has the decency to have one weakness, but in the universe Agent 47 occupies, he's the dog's bollocks. I don't know why Hollywood thinks we want to see these immortal killing machines, but if you'll allow me to go on a tangent, I'd like to point out that this is actually an increasing trend. Shit like that new Transporter movie no one wants, and the bizarrely still popular Taken franchise is some of the worst offenders. I mean, hell, Taken 3 features a scene towards the end where, and I'm ad-libbing here, one of the guys is like, "Oh no, Liam Neeson's character, and I said you were gonna have 15 minutes to break into this place, but that plot relevant thingies went off, so you're only gonna have like 5 or something." And Liam Neeson's just like, "I didn't care, I can do it in 2. And you're just like, "Oh, cheers Liam, don't struggle out. I wouldn't want to see anything interesting happen in this film, you competent dick." I mean, where's the humanity? Where's the weakness? Where's the struggle? James Bond is often the poster boy for efficiency, and he'll still often find himself tied naked to his chair, having his balls take a hiding. Hell, even Rambo had that scene where he cried for Christ's sake. It's not like you can't have a badass without making him a complete robot, but Hitman struggles with such an insane notion. See, me personally, if I had to do a Hitman film, I'd make a straight horror flick. Put it from the perspective of one of his victims and slowly explore and reveal what they did to deserve to be on his hit list. This film tries to do that, for like 5 minutes, and fails monumentally. For anyone not worried about spoilers, stick around and I'll tell you why in 3, 2, 1... Okay, so the film starts with a massive info dump that's all like,
here's this backstory. There was like a super genetic soldier program thing, and that's really important to note because the main dude's going to be one of them, and it was set up by this guy who is now missing, and these evil dudes want him because they got to make more super soldier things, so they need to find him, but they don't know how. So there's this lady who's also plot important because she's also looking for him, but she doesn't know why she's looking for him, but she is, and she might be able to find him. We don't know why. She's sort of psychic or something, but not really. You got that? No. Okay, moving on.
And to abridge the opening events that follow, this lass is seemingly on Agent 47's to-do list. But she's warned about this by Zachary Quinto's character, who's all like, "Here, love, the fucking human Terminator's out to get you, so I'm gonna stick with you for a bit. Try not to die, that'd be great." Now that's a good setup, because the villain at this point is Agent 47, which is great because he's a threat. He's something that objectively beats our heroes in every way. He's an obstacle to overcome or even avoid. He's scary. Or at least he would be had we not had a scene where he interrogated some dude and sort of humanized himself by sitting down and having a long conversation already in the film. You might think that's not a big deal, but if you want to make a relentless killer, just look at our boy Mike Myers here. He's just this foreboding presence. We know he wants to kill and we don't know why, and that makes him inhuman and scary. Would he be as intimidating a presence if at the start of the film he sat down for a chat and biscuits with some dude before his mad killing spree? No, of course he wouldn't, because then he's no longer a monster. The fact he talked made him human. Terminator only gets away with it because he speaks very briefly and solely in lines that help him pursue his victim. But Hitman, well, he's just a chatty Cathy, isn't he? And that's fine later in the film when he turns out to be a good guy, but at this point we're supposed to fear him, and I can't after seeing him act so normal-ish. Speaking of Terminator, actually, this film quite often feels like a bit of a rip-off of T2. I mean, initial setup is, here is villain, unrelenting killer. Here is victim, unwise to what's happening. Here is someone who is seemingly a protector, out to stop the villain from claiming his prey. And then there's a midpoint where the protector and the villain do a switcheroo. They even use the old Terminator dun 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 at one point when a character gets out of a helicopter. From the point that twist is revealed, there's really no reason to watch the movie because it then either walks the line between serviceable action you've seen better elsewhere or inane bullshit that just sucks. Particularly standout poor scenes include the female protagonist, whose name I've already forgot, much like I'll likely do with the rest of this movie, finds out the man she's searching for was her dad. It's meant to be like a revelation, but it changes the movie in no way, and I don't get why she'd be looking for this dude without that knowledge anyway. Like, really, the movie could have done without withholding that information from us, so she'd at least have some motivation to go look for him, other than the one the movie originally gives, which is, I don't know, why not? They then try to pull this again towards the end of the movie, where it's revealed that Agent 47 is actually this lady's brother, and you're like, oh my god, I don't care. What am I supposed to do with this information? This literally changes nothing. Like, look, dude who wrote this, I know you're clearly a big fan of Empire Strikes Back, but in that movie, when the familial revelations hit, it actually meant something to the overarching narrative and drastically changed the paths the characters then followed. In your movie, this is nothing more than just a sentence. There's a lot of contrived shit in this movie too. Like, we're supposed to believe that Agent 47 is an always capable badass, but his escape in what you're seeing here very much relied on the dude interrogating him, setting up a gun on the table, facing that direction, at such an angle that 47 was able to do this. I mean, literally any factor in this scenario changes, and he's stuck there. Like, what if the chain on his handcuffs was shorter? What if the gun was looking the other way? Or just not on the table? The movie's answer to this is, who cares, look at the slow-mo, innit cool? Also, the revelation that Zachary Quinto's character is kind of immortal because he has subdermal titanium body armor can sod right off. I know it's an action movie and you gotta suspend your disbelief, but I'm already doing that with the super soldiers. Don't then ask me to believe that someone injected a bulletproof vest under their skin and is quite happy to get up after taking several shots to the chest at point blank range. There's a point where Agent 47 stabs him and he flexes to break the knife before saying, pretty crazy, huh? And I'm like, yeah, Zachary Quinto, yeah, that is crazy. In fact, it's fucking insane. Honestly though, the movie could have done with more of these really awful moments. In fact, it would have been significantly better had it been significantly worse, as much of an oxymoron as that sounds. Because then at least it had some kind of chance of being a bit of a cult thing, or a fun movie to riff on with friends on a lazy Sunday. But what it is instead is just so forgettable. I honestly struggled with this review because aside from the obvious bad points, I actually couldn't remember what happened through most of the film the second I left it. It's the epitome of middle-of-the-road okayness that just ends up having a sense of nothing. What were we talking about?